I've been saying since the beginning of the season that Justin Fields should start and take lumps. Take the lumps. And it's not just to take the lumps on football game days. It's take the snaps in the middle of everything during the week. That's where you get better. Those first team reps that the backup quarterback never gets, hardly ever gets. You got to get it to the kid now sooner than later. I know there's the hashtag fire Nagy stuff going on right now.
Big time.
He knows. He's no dummy. He must know what the kid can do and what he can't do. And he was afraid of having that happen on Sunday Night Football in front of the whole country with Donald and Ramsey coming at you. And he tried to sprinkle in Justin Fields, and it actually looked pretty darn good. But you know what also happened that night? David Montgomery almost ran for 100 yards. You know what hasn't happened in the last two games? Montgomery rushing for 100 yards combined. And that's where the fire Nagy stuff comes in. Because you have to wonder, if they're beating the crap out of your quarterback, and he's standing there in the pocket, and Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are meeting in the middle right on top of him, do you move him around? Do you move him out? Do you roll him out? Do you do some sort of quick game, get the ball out of his hands, dump it off to a running back every now and then? They tried. Nothing was working yesterday. But I don't think they did enough of it. Where's the scheme? You got David Montgomery, you got Allen Robinson, you got Mooney. What you don't have is an offensive line, and you don't have an experienced quarterback. And what happened yesterday was a shocker. And I know anybody who's been out there saying, Rich, you've been telling him to get out there and start. He had 68 yards passing. He was sacked 9 times for 67 yards. That's a grand total of 1 yard out of the passing game yesterday. 1 net passing yard on 29 dropbacks. That's all-time bad. And it looks terrible. I just don't know. There just didn't seem to be any designed runs. There didn't seem to be anything scheme-wise in there. But I tell you, he's got to take the lumps. He's got to take them. He's got to take them.
I don't know, man.
You got to get better. Better now than later.
Yeah, but he's not going to get better behind that line and with this coaching staff. I think that's obvious.
So what do?
Sit him.
You put Nick Foles in the game?
Yeah, I think so. That's a guy who's taken big-time snaps and big-time games, veteran. Let him get his butt kicked. I mean, why take the Ferrari for a joyride if you're driving through a war zone?
How does he get better, Chris?
Get better in practice.
He's not going to practice. What do? You go through an NFL season where you tell the veteran you're taking only half the snaps because we got to get the kid better? And what does the rest of the team do in practice? Because it's not just that. The thing that the Jets are talking about with Zach Wilson is he's holding on to the ball. Offensive linemen think, get it out. I got Von Miller stopped for a second and a half. Get it out. This is the conundrums that we keep talking about. I will always err on the side of get him out there. He'll get better.
He can't get better if he gets injured.
He's still alive.
I mean,
he took 9 shots and he's still alive.
You could get injured in practice though too. Look at Bridgewater. I mean, injuries are going to happen.
And don't you think he'd be a little bit more equipped for Garrett and Clowney if he'd already seen Donald enough times?
I don't know.
Weeks 5 through 9 will be better than weeks 3 through 5. That's the general sense of things.
Well, more importantly, you won't have these growing pains next year, and I think that's the biggest part.
You lose 100% of the games you don't play in, right?
I mean, unless you win them, but
well, I think I'm trying to use the phrase of you got to be in it to win it.
But they're not going to win. This season's already over for them.
I don't think so, Chris. You should put that in overreaction.
This season's already over. The Bears aren't going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win more than 4 games.
Well, certainly if they come up with 1 net passing yard, and you've got to come up with something. Come up with something.
But they can't how are they going to get a whole new offensive line?
They even ran a wildcat inside the 10 with David Montgomery. It's like, what are we doing?
I mean, that's at least trying something.
No, it's not. I mean, Fields is the guy you bring into the 10-yard line and in. That's the guy you bring in. But you're taking him out?
He's getting his butt kicked all day.
It's kind of crazy. It's just like you're sprinkling in Justin Fields, but then you take him out inside the 10 and let your running back run a wildcat? I saw that. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, you want to run David Montgomery, put a fullback in front of him. Go. You know? Go. You're seeing what...
But don't you think this is why Andy Dalton started at the beginning of the year? Because, I mean, look, we want to dump all over Nagy, but he knew the team stunk.
I'm not dumping on him.
But he knew the team stunk. So you don't want to put the rookie out there to ruin his confidence and get him absolutely destroyed for 17 weeks.
Guess what?
That doesn't do anything for the future.
I can't imagine Justin Fields been waiting his entire life and his confidence is now ruined because that happened in game 1. I mean, then you shouldn't draft somebody like that. It's the 11th overall.
If that's the case, he should not be in this job.
But if this happens for another 14 weeks, then what?
Guess what? Kids are now going to be coming out of college and they're thrown right in the deep end of the pool.
Guys get ruined after a year like this.
Let's not hope so.
Look at Josh Rosen.
Come on. Sitting him just makes no sense.
Josh Rosen didn't have a chance to go play, though, so you can't say he
What do you mean? He started.
How many games, though? Did he start the whole season?
He got out there, and the line stunk, and he got absolutely destroyed every single week, and now he's on his 4th team.
I would rather the kid get out there and take the lumps. As much as I'm watching how bad it was with the Jets, I'm just thinking better now than the end of the season. Better now than next season. Better now. Because I don't feel like we're going to win right now. Maybe that's the expectation level. Bears fans have to lower their expectation level of what's going to happen right now. Take your lumps. Take them. That's what happens when you draft somebody 11th overall. That's what happens. It happened to the Patriots, the vaunted Patriots yesterday. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.